Hello guys, you're welcome to another tutorial on this channel. Thank you for stopping by. In today's video, I'll be showing us the cutting and the stitching of this simple coat shoulder bubu dress. If you love seeing tutorials like this, keep watching. Let's get into the video. To make this dress, you need two different fabrics, a plain one and a patterned one. The plain I have here is crepe and it is half yard, while the pattern one, I don't know the name, but you can use African print or any other fabrics of your choice. It is 2 yards, although I won't exhaust it. And the first thing I'll do is to fold it into 4, as I'll be cutting the back and front piece together. Here I have my fabric folded into 4, and I folded about 16 inches, that's 16 in 4 places. And the first thing I'll do is draw a straight line, which will serve as the shoulder line. And from the center fold, I'll measure the neckline. The width is 3 inches and the depth is 3 inches as well. Next, I'll mark half of my shoulder measurement. My shoulder is 15 inches, divided by 2 is 7.5. And from that point, I'll determine how long I want my sleeve to be. I want my sleeve long by 9 inches. But then I'll be adding 2 inches band, so I'll deduct that 2 inches from the 9 inches. I'm left with 7 inches plus half inch sewing allowance, that's 7.5. From that point, I'll come down by 1.5 inches for the shoulder slope. You can also make use of 1 inch for your shoulder slope, okay? Then I'll connect the points towards the neck area this way. From the shoulder slope, I'll determine my sleeve opening. My sleeve opening is 8 inches plus half inch sewing allowance is 8.5. Then I'll connect the 2 points into a straight line. I will also extend the line horizontally and it will serve as the bust line. Now from the shoulder line, I'll come down by 16 inches, which is my waistline. Now let's take the round measurement. On the bust line, I'll mark my bust circumference divided by 4, which is 9.5 inches. Then I will add extra inches. 1 inch ease allowance. Your ease allowance depends on how free you want the dress on your body. And another 1 inch sewing allowance. That's 2 inches allowance in total. Then on the waistline, I'll mark my waist circumference divided by 4. My waist circumference divided by 4 is 7 inches. But for the purpose of this tutorial, I'm using 8 inches. Then I will add the extra 2 inches allowance. The next thing to do is to measure the length of this dress. I want this dress to be long by 38 inches, but I have 39 inches here. The remaining 1 inch will serve as hem allowance. So go ahead and determine the length of your dress. At the hem, I'll use my hip circumference divided by 4, which is 10 inches. And instead of adding 2 inches extra allowance, I'm adding 3 inches extra allowance, 2 inches as ease and 1 inch as sewing allowance. Then I'll connect the 3 points together. Now I will curve this part a little. To do that, I will come down from the bust line by 2 inches, then connect the points to create the curve. And this is all for the drafting of this dress. When cutting, I won't cut directly on the shoulder line. I will leave about half an inch, and that half an inch will serve as the sewing allowance for the shoulder. So guys, this is what the back and front piece looks like. The next thing to do is to create the asymmetric neckline. Here you have to decide if it is the left or the right side that will be wider. For me, I'm going with the left side. So from the neck width, I'll mark additional 4.5 inches. You can use 4 or 3 inches, depends on how wide you want it. For the depth, I'll come down by 6 inches. And after joining the shoulder, I'll be left with 5.5 inches. So go ahead and determine how deep you want yours. Then I'll connect the points together. For the strap at the front, which came down from the shoulder, I'll draw a straight line starting from the neck width all the way to the end. That is where it will be placed. I will go ahead now to cut on the neckline, but I won't cut directly on the line. I will leave about half an inch for sewing allowance. After cutting out the neckline, I'll place the second piece on this, right side facing each other, then I'll cut out the neckline the same way. Now that we are done cutting the neckline, the next thing to do is to cut out facing for it. And this is the piece for the facing. It is on fold, that's for the back and front neckline. I'll place one of the piece on it. I already pin it down so it won't move around. Then I'll trace out the neckline. The length I want for the facing is 2 inches, but I'll be adding extra 1 inch sewing allowance, that's 3 inches. Then I'll mark the 3 inches all around, connect the points and cut it out. The next thing to do is to iron interfacing on the wrong side of these two. After ironing the interfacing, this is what I have. The next thing to do is to place it on the neckline. To stitch, you place the right side of the facing on the wrong side of the main fabric. I hope we understand. Then I'll go over to the sewing machine to stitch with 1/2 inch measurement. After stitching, I'll flip it to the right side, folding the edge with 1/2 inch, then stitch it down to the main fabric. So guys, after stitching the facing to the neckline, I flipped it to the right side, turning the edge with 1/2 inch, then stitch it down on the main fabric. And I did the same thing to the other piece. The next thing to do is to join the shoulder. I'll place the two pieces together right side facing, go over to the sewing machine and stitch with 1/2 inch measurement. After joining the shoulder, this is what I have. The next thing to do is to attach band to the two sleeves. I have two pieces for the band, which is 5 inches wide and the length is long enough to go around the sleeve. I'll fold it together and place it on the sleeve this way, then go over to the sewing machine to stitch with 1/2 inch measurement. And this is what the sleeve looks like now. I did the same to the second sleeve. The next thing to do now is to attach the design at the front and the coat shoulder sleeve. Here is me marking where it will be at the back because it extends to the back as well. And I have 11 inches from the back neckline to the front neckline. Remember the 5.5 inches I said I will have after joining the shoulder, times 2 of it is 11 inches. And the total measurement I have here is 44 inches, but I will add extra inches to that measurement. And here is the piece I'll be using. I added extra inches to the 44 inches I measured. Now the width is 4 inches, which is 2 inches on fold. But when I cut it out, I cut out 5 inches, which is 2.5 inches on fold, and I use 1/2 inch to join the side, turn it right out, and iron the seam to the middle. And this is how I will place it. Now for the remaining piece at the back here, I'll still need to open up this part of the neckline in order for me to insert the remaining piece into it. I don't want to stitch it down this way. But first, I'll pin this piece to the front here all the way to the end. I already opened that part of the neckline I mentioned earlier. Now I will cut off the excess, insert it into the neckline, pin it down, and go over to the sewing machine to stitch this way. And at the front here, I will stitch both sides all the way to the end. After stitching the piece at the back and also at the front, this is what it looks like. Now this front design doesn't have to be straight, you can make your slant if you want. The next thing to do is to close the side, but before then I will attach side pockets. So I'll turn this to the wrong side, notch the waistline, and from that waistline I'll come down by 6 inches. That is for the pocket opening, and I will also notch it. Then I will fold it together and notch the other side. I already cut out my pockets. I cut out 4 pieces, 2 on each side, and this was how I cut it out. And I made sure the base is 6 inches, that is for the pocket opening. To stitch, I will pin the top of the pocket to the first notch on the main fabric and the hem of the pocket to the second notch. And I'll do the same to the other piece. Notice how the right side of the pocket is facing the right side of the main fabric. That is how you should place yours. I'll go over to the sewing machine to stitch. And I'll do the same thing at the other side. So guys, I attached the pocket to the 2 sides and this is what I have. The next thing to do is to close the side, and this is how I will close it. From where the pocket starts, I will back stitch and stitch round the pocket this way, then continue stitching from where the pocket stops all the way to the hem, and I'll stitch the other side the same way. After closing the 2 sides, I'll fold in the hem and stitch it all around. So guys, this is what my dress looks like after closing the side, and this is what the pocket looks like after stitching it round. You can make yours bigger than this, it's all good. For the hem, I folded it in and stitched it round like I said. And with that, we've come to the end of this tutorial. Thanks for watching. If you find this video helpful, please like, share and subscribe to my channel if you haven't, and I'll see you in my next one.